What's good, YouTube? It's me, your boy Squiddy, back in another Squiddio. So let's talk a little bit about the next couple of weeks, because obviously the ban list is going to go live on the 25th. Now, I wanted to make this video to tell you guys that if you're looking to pick up a deck, or rather invest into something for the upcoming format, I would recommend that you guys hold off for the sole purpose that we're actually getting a new set, Age of Overlord, aka Agov, in exactly 1 month's time. This is going to be legal on October 20th in the North America regions, and basically this pack actually is somewhat influential to the metagame. And what I mean by that is there are actually a lot of decent cards in there. Now, I'm not saying it's going to completely shift the meta, but I think there are enough cards in this set that will actually affect the metagame in a way that could differ than what it currently is. And I want to give you guys some quick examples of the cards. We won't go super in depth, but just to give you a sense of what to expect, because I know a lot of TCG players traditionally, myself included, don't really like to look at cards before they're really released or before like a week away, right? It doesn't really make sense. If you don't have an event coming up that's encompassing these cards, there's no real reason to look at them. But for the purpose of this video and to convince you guys that maybe you should hold off on some of your finances and then reassess the metagame after this set comes out, I will give you some examples. So at the forefront of the list is actually this card, Stellar Nemesis Typhon Doomsday Star. Now, you guys remember when ZEUS came out, that was a big game changer for any XYZ deck, because now when an XYZ was able to reach damage calculation and battle successfully, it meant that in main phase 2 you have to deal with basically a Judgment Dragon that wipes the entire board in the form of ZEUS. Well, guess what? Zeus's bigger brother is here, and he is here to stay. This is a monster that you can also overlay on top of any monster, not just an XYZ, and you can make that possible by having this requirement. If your opponent special summon 2 or more monsters from the extra deck this turn or the previous turn, you can XYZ summon this card using the monster you control with the highest attack and transfer the materials to this card. Also, if this card is summoned this way, you cannot summon for the rest of the turn. So it's kind of something you do at the end of your plays, a lot like Fusion Destiny or whatever else restricts you. And then it not only stops there, but it has the other effect where while you control this XYZ summon card, neither player can activate the effects of monsters with 3k or more attack. So it's basically, lore-wise, a direct counter to ZEUS itself, preventing ZEUS from using its effect. But not only that, it has another ignition effect that says once per turn you can detach a material from this card, return 1 monster on the field to the hand. This card is absolutely crazy for the sheer fact that it can be splashed as a staple into any extra deck. Literally any extra deck can take advantage of this while going second, because when your opponent summons twice or more from the extra deck, which basically every deck will do, you have access to this card at the end of your plays. You know when you guys play a game of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! And you feel like, oh, I'm just like 1 card short of breaking my opponent's board and mounting a comeback? Well, this card is it. The fact that it's in your extra deck means that you do not have to draw it or, you know, like splash it or anything. It doesn't account for any resources in your actual physical or deck. Resource management, you just summon this on top of anything from your extra deck at the far end of your play, and then it has the effect where it's a non-targeting bounce. It's not a targeting bounce, okay? So against something like a Dragoon, this is a direct counter to Dragoon by just normal summoning any monster, making Doomsday Star, and then using the effect to bounce, because they cannot respond with any effects of monsters with 3k or more attack, because its continuous effect prevents them from activating. So this is the first card that I think is a huge metagame staple moving forward in Yu-Gi-Oh! You definitely have to account for this, and I could even imagine people actually playing around this if it's in a grind game. Maybe they might consider not special summoning twice from the extra deck just because of this card's existence. This card is amazing. The fact that it's a continuous effect also means that a lot of times your opponent will have to enter the battle phase before using any of their effects if they have anything with 3k or more. So that's first on the list. All right, next, the thing with Agov is we're actually getting a lot of legacy support for existing archetypes. So we are getting some new TG support that a lot of people have been hyping up. These cards are actually really utility-wise, very useful. And a lot of people actually have demonstrated 1-card combos with these cards that allow you to end in the Calamity Lock, if I'm not mistaken. And TG Rocket Salamander is actually one of the new TGs who happens to be a level 1 fire monster, which is very useful with the Sinful Spoils, which is another engine that we will touch upon in this video. material, but basically the deck can potentially be very good, at least tier 2, tier 3, I would say. We are also getting a new Vanquish Soul as well that's decently good. We're getting a new Labyrinth, who I don't think is that great from reading it first glance, but I could be mistaken. All I'm saying is the point is that there are a lot of new support for legacy archetypes, so there will be new plays, there will be some shifting in terms of playability for these archetypes, and I think the decks will get better. We're also getting a Synchro level 6 that's pretty busted for Vanadium. This is essentially Kit Kalos in Synchro form, and she's a level 6 Synchro tuner. When she's Synchro summoned, you can target a level 2 tuner in the graveyard and special summon it. Now, this is a little bit awkward because it is a tuner, so you cannot go into Exile Stardust easily because you do need a non-tuner, but you can, of course, make Visas Amritara really easily because this card can be used, using 2 tuners, which a lot of people don't actually know about. All you require is a tuner plus a light monster, so if you have 2 tuners, including a light monster and a tuner, then you can easily go into him and go full combo in your Vanadium. And last I checked, actually, there is a 1-card combo with just Realm Heart. Vanadium Realm Heart can actually give you the full Vanadium combo and also get the Calamity Lock if I'm not mistaken. So guys, watch out for that in the future. We might do some demonstrations in terms of that combo, but that is just really, really crazy to me that they're getting this crazy synchro. So there definitely will be some boosts to existing archetypes. That's the point I want to get across to you guys. Next, there are also some new engines that are really splashable in a lot of decks. So first of all, the Diabellstar / Sinful Spoil engine. This is a really, really cool engine that is basically a pseudo extender that can splash into almost any deck. All you have to do is send a card from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon her, and when she's special summoned, you can actually add a Sinful Spoil spell trap directly from your deck. So you can actually add, there's a quick play that allows you to add a Diabellstar monster, so essentially you can play 5 or 6 copies of Diabellstar herself, and it also allows you to shuffle it back to draw a card, so it's almost like a pseudo engage. Or there's an even better option, which is an E-Tally for any level 1 fire monster. All you have to do is send a face-up card you control to the graveyard, special summon a level 1 fire monster from your hand or deck. And if you guys are as excited as I am, you will realize that Rescue Ace Hydrant is actually one of the most prominent targets that you can actually special summon using this engine. So all of a sudden, Rescue Ace will get this extremely good extender engine that also tutors for the best card / starter in their deck, which is really, really cool. Now, there are also some other level 1 fires that are notable, like Jet Synchron, so there could be some splashability for this engine to other decks. There are also cute things like Vakonak Shell, so you get access to that, and of course the TG Rocket Salamander, which we just talked about for TGs. So there are actually a lot of different options. You can also do some of the Infernobles, I believe, which are also level 1 fire monsters, so it's really, really cool that you have access to all of that in one concise engine that allows you to do all this and also have the opportunity to put a body on the board, which happens to be a level 7, so it could be useful in other decks like Kashtira, nudge nudge. So that's another reason why I think that the metagame will shift a little bit more. Who knows, maybe Rescue Ace will be in tier 1 status with these new cards, but guys, you got to pay attention to these new cards in this new set because this new set is absolutely busted. We're also getting another archetype that's splashable called the Horus cards, which are essentially these 4 monsters that can special summon themselves back from the graveyard while you control their signature spell card, Pharaonic Sarcophagus. This is really, really cool because Pharaonic Sarcophagus allows you to send a card from your hand to the graveyard and then Foolish any Horus monster up to 4 times per turn. So if you are playing some kind of deck that relies on the graveyard like Tearlaments, you could definitely mill these guys, and then once you have access to Pharaonic Sarcophagus, they come back for free, and they are level 8, so you can do easy synchro plays in a Baron or easy rank 8 plays, and it's really, really powerful. All of these cards also have their own unique effects that are very, very useful as well. I think these cards are definitely really splashable in terms of a graveyard deck, and I think they can do a lot of damage. They all have huge attack as well, most of them. So they are decent beaters, and they are decent bodies that you can recur continuously from the graveyard once per turn as long as you have the spell card on the field. So it's really, really neat that they have this as well. We are also getting another staple for the extra deck, which is SP Little Knight. You cannot forget about this card. This card is a generic Link 2, and it will be an absolute staple in every Yu-Gi-Oh deck moving forward because her effect is absolutely crazy for a generic Link 2. It says, if this card is Link summoned using a Fusion, Synchro, XYZ, or Link monster as a material, you can target 1 card on the field or in the graveyard, banish it. Also, your opponents cannot attack, your monsters cannot attack directly for the rest of the turn as a restriction. But hey, this is a generic removal tool that you can use for any deck that you know, is able to link climb or make a fusion synchro XYZ, which is basically every deck, and then you can banish a card on the field or in the graveyard. This is nuts for a level 2 generic Link 2. This should not be a thing, honestly. Like, these effects should be behind a paywall. It should be behind some generic, non-generic restrictions, because this is really, really cool. Now, it doesn't stop there. There's another effect where it says, when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can target 2 face-up monsters on the field, including at least 1 monster you control. Banish both monsters until the end phase. This is crazy. This is an interruption that also like banishes something and then interrupts again. Like, does a Farfa-like effect that can be responded anytime your opponent activates a card or effect, so they can't even play around it. This is really, really nuts. It's not even a card or effect on the field. It can be in hand or graveyard. All that takes is a card effect to be activated, and you can use SP Little Knight to banish 2 monsters on the field, including itself. She can come back, and you can just continue playing. So these are some really, really cool cards that I think will definitely shape the metagame in a way that will be very impactful. I'm not saying that the entire meta will be really affected in the long run, because looking in the OCG, I think Purely as well as Rescue Ace are still doing decently well, and they were before Agov was released in their respective regions. But again, guys, we can't only look at the OCG. They have Maxi, they have a completely different game and metagame, so we have to kind of cater to our own metagame. We can look for them for advice and examples, but I think these cards are good enough that they will impact the actual TCG metagame. So that being said, I think you guys, if you have the resources and you're looking to invest in a new deck, it might be some time to hold off unless you're actually playing in an event in the upcoming month. I would definitely hold back a little bit just to wait till this set drops and see exactly what the heck is going to be playable and what the heck is going to be good in the set, because a lot of these cards you will have to have at least Doomsday Star and SP Little Knight, and if they're secret rare, which they probably are, that means you're probably going to be dropping a couple of bills from your wallet, so definitely keep an eye on that. Other than that, if you guys have anything we missed in Agov, definitely let us know in the comments below. I know there are a plethora of other cool cards as well that were honorable mentions, but we didn't have time to talk about them. Other than that, we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.